And a good Wednesday morning, football fans. Appreciate you doing the early stream thing with us. That would be Mac and Mac, John McMullen and Jody McDonald here with you on Birds 365. The countdown continues. We're almost within 2 weeks, Johnny Mac. We're getting close. Still seems like a long way off, but that is the type of year, the spot of the year that we're in, evaluating the football calendar, and everyone is looking forward to the draft. Not much as far as free agent signings go. It's down to not even a trickle, I wouldn't even call it these days. So it's all about the draft. And one of the aspects of the draft that we note here on Birds 365, and I even haven't seen much activity there from the Philadelphia Eagles. Other teams, yes. Philadelphia Eagles, no. Pre-draft visits that each team gets upwards of 30, not counting local talent that you can bring in and not have count against your 30, but you get 30 guys that you can bring in and talk to them, interview them, work them out as you can agree to, see fit. I haven't heard any good names in the last couple of days. As per your count, how many of these, and I know that not every piece of information gets out, and some say they have met with players, and others say that that's not what their reports tell them. How many do you think the Eagles have done as we sit here 15 days outside the draft?
Well, let's see. Today is the 12th. So a week from today is the deadline. You can't have any more visits after the 19th.
Okay.
So um, um, probably most of them are already done. I think I counted 16 at last count.
If
But
you get
again,
upwards of 30 and they've done 16,
well,
that means they've got half
that's
their
public.
list potentially left.
That's I guarantee you that's what it's about. It's more than that.
Okay.
That's what's made public, and usually, sometimes the players themselves, like Bijan Robinson,
Right.
confirm it, and if not, then it's the agents. And there's just some guys that don't confirm it, and so it's more than 16 is what I'm trying to say. It's not like you can't do more than one a day, but you can certainly, especially if it's offense, defense, kind of split it up that way. But I would say most of them are probably done just because, same thing with the coaching hires. We said, Nick's interviewing 12, 13 people for these jobs, and we maybe get 4 or 5 of them. How realistic are the other 4 or 5, 6? Probably not very realistic, but yeah, still a lot of clandestine happening. Certainly in Philadelphia is more secretive than most, I would say,
Now,
when it
as
comes to
far
that.
as the 16 plus, we'll put it at 16 plus. We believe it's more than 16. We don't know exactly how many, but they've still got a week to go and numbers to be able to use to get more people in here. What do you think the timing means? Because some guys did their pre-draft visit shoot almost a month ago, and others have done it either the past couple of days, the last week, and some might do it within this last week that you can do it before the draft actually takes place. Better to be early, better to be late. Is there an Eagle track record here that the guys they bring in early are guys that they just want to check a box or so off and they're probably not going to draft, or the guys that they draft late, the ones that they're really targeting? Do you take the risk that you want to meet with a guy and he says, well, to be truthful with you, there's a team that wants to meet with me early who's got an earlier draft pick, and that's where I'm from. And sorry, I can't do it on that day. We can't work out a scheduled date. You read anything to the dates on the players when they come in?
No, no. Most of that is logistics and just, guys are crisscrossing the country going to team. You might want to say, I've said this before, you might want to meet with a guy and you call his agent and say, well, he's meeting with Tennessee that day. So it's got to move. And maybe you're meeting with somebody the next day and you want to
Right.
move it a week, So most of that is logistics. I would say, maybe early is better because if you are up against the deadline and somebody's got can't meet with Philadelphia if you're in Houston, that day. So, if you're like, oh, we got to get in so and so on the 19th, and he's already set to meet with a different team, So I guess earlier would be the better, but a little bit if. But I mean, the Eagles have this set up, so I mean, they're a team that, well, like I said, we're probably not going to get all 30 visits, but they used all 30 visits.
Right.
They will use.
We won't know
30.
about them, but
Yeah.
bet your bottom dollar all 30 visits have been used.
And they have all that stuff worked out in advance. So, but for the timing in general, I wouldn't look too much into it. And, even for the players in general, I mean, it's more, I've said it time and time again, it's more information gathering than anything else. And, for whatever reason, there's a lot of times you like a kid so much and you might have met with him at the combine. You might have met with him at the Senior Bowl, all that kind of stuff, and say, we're lock, stock, and barrel. We know where this kid is on our board, and it's not even good to bring him in,
right?
Because you're signaling. At least some people think you're signaling interest, but then again, it's different. NFL teams, they're not like us. They're not like fans. They know it. They know what these top 30 visits mean, and I've always said, look, you're not bringing in someone you have zero interest in.
Right.
But, and I brought up the Darius Geis example either last week or a couple weeks ago. The assumption that all these visits are going well is the wrong part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You could have the visit and say, all right, we're done. We don't have any interest. Let's take him off the board, or the opposite, it blows you away. So it can work both ways. But it's like, I always joke, there's never been a unsuccessful surgery. Well, there are. We see it all the time. Tell that to Chris Maragos. There are unsuccessful surgeries. You never hear about them. There are unsuccessful visits. Occasionally you hear about them, but I think the assumption is, they brought in so-and-so, so they're interested in so-and-so. Not necessarily, but they certainly had interest at one point, is how I would say
it. As an Eagle beat reporter, and I know you're not going to give away trade secrets here, but give away what you can. I would think the most telling pre-draft visit that the Eagles could have had would have been Javon Carter, because everyone wants a chance to spend a couple of minutes, look the young man in the eye, ask a couple of pointed questions, because whether you do or don't draft him is going to be decided in a large part by how much you think he's going to be coachable when he gets here, how much of an issue his behavior is going to be. Can you get anybody to say anything, or is it standard if you ask 6 people from the Eagles who may know how the Jalen Carter visit went, do you get nothing more than, I can't talk about that? Will someone at least say it went well, it went fine? They're not going to give you details, not going to hold on. Let me fax you over. Let me text you over the questionnaire that we asked and what his responses are. I know you're not getting that, Johnny Mac. But did you get anybody to say anything at all about how Javon Carter's pre-draft visit went here in Philadelphia?
With Jalen Carter, and by the way, I just saw today he's visiting with the Raiders, which is the team that is supposedly taking him off the board. Well, that's, so that tells you about.
Which, by the way, do you believe that?
No. Why are they visiting? No. I mean, that report came out couple days ago. And now all of a sudden they're visiting with them. What are they visiting with them? To
tell them
solidify
that, sorry,
they taking them off the board. Yeah. Now they might take them off the board after they visit with them.
True.
But no, for the Eagles, if anything, I've gotten more hints that Yeah, he's on the board. He's in the mix. They're going to take him if they can take him at 10. I don't think he's going to last till 10. Um, and from their perspective is, they want teams to take him off the board. They want teams to stop looking at him. And if that happens, I think they will gladly hand in the card and take on the gamble, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I think you have to.
And I think I've said it pretty consistently now for about 10 days. That's the easiest decision they will ever make from their sort of foundational DNA, just from a football perspective. Position they value, position they need, value from from his talent standpoint. He shouldn't be a 10, but he's a 10 for a reason if that happens. Yeah, easy decision for them as long as they cross the barriers and say that, he's not going to be an issue off the field, which you can't know 100%, but you get my point.
That's why I would attach the word gamble to him at any point that he gets taken. If he falls down to number 30 and the Eagles take him with their second first-round pick, I would say that's still a gamble. Could it pay off massive dividends if he's no problem whatsoever and he plays to the level that he showed at college? Oh, it's one of the best draft picks ever. Or he could be a guy who never gets onto the field for you, that he gets in trouble, gets arrested, it never plays it down. Then it's a gamble. Even though you passed on the gamble at 10, if you take him at 30 or anywhere, he's a gamble of a pick. He's a risk-reward guy, and we don't know yet what the risk. Well, we think we've got to grasp what the risk is, but we don't know no one knows what the reward will be. So that's what makes discussing the draft as much fun as it is. All right, wasn't planning on doing this, but I got to have some fun with this. We rarely reference. We appreciate all you people who stream in during the show. I love the fact that you talk to each other more than you talk to John and myself, because you're right. We don't reference it all that often. So I enjoy just checking out your conversations amongst yourself. Pretty entertaining, if you ask me. But from time to time, one does grab my attention because this was something I was going to bring up with John maybe a little bit later. But we might as well do it now. Everybody wants to play armchair Howie Roseman. Jody McDonald does. I asked John McMullen to do it. My callers on WIP do it. And yeah, guys here on the stream. I'm not sure that I would do this deal if I were Howie Roseman. You tell me, John. From STR8 Edge, Straight Edge, says, hear me out. On draft night, the Eagles have waited to see if Jalen Carter falls to 10. He does not, but one of the top 4 quarterback prospects does. So the Eagles offer 10 to Tampa Bay for the 19th pick, and they get an extra 4th round and an extra 5th round, and they get Devin White as well as an addition to the trade.
I thought we were
pick number 10, you get number 19, an extra 4th, an extra 5th, and Devin White. If you're how quickly can Howie Roseman turn that one down? Or how quickly can he get a private plane down there to pick up Devin White and get him to Philadelphia? Straight Edge, I got to give you a tip of the cap. You're a pretty damn good Eagle fan. You've got Howie Roseman. What's the word he doesn't like to hear used attached to his trades?
Fleece.
Oh, that would be a fleecing extraordinaire. If you move down 9 slots, get an extra 4, get an extra 5, and get all-pro linebacker Devin White.
He's not an all-pro. I think there's a miss sort of, I don't know, because he was picked so high.
Is he never made an all-pro team?
No, he was a Pro Bowl alternate and had a good run in the playoffs. Okay. He's actually been from a performance standpoint, he's been incredibly disappointing during the regular season. He gets paid $11.7 million this year. And he wants to be the highest paid linebacker in football. He wants to get paid more than Roquan Smith, who has been an all-pro. Roquan Smith, I think, generated a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick. I was ready for this Devin White nonsense. The Eagles don't play that position. They have the 6th, again, and you can make fun of PFF, whatever you want, but they had the 6th best offensive off-ball linebacker in football last year, who they didn't want to pay in TJ Edwards.
Right.
Devin White was 74th out of 81.
Wow.
He gave up 120 passer rating when targeted in coverage. Oh, and by the way, Jody, in 2021, he was 79 of 86. In 2020, he was 62 of 83. In 2019, he was 68 of 90. He has been a terrible football player, except in their run to a Super Bowl championship, where he was awesome. And I can't explain it, but maybe he's one of those guys who only wants to play when the stakes are high. I don't know. He's got tremendous talent, obviously, from an athleticism standpoint, but he's got no instincts. He's terrible against the run. He's terrible against the pass, and he makes over $10 million a year. And you think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to play Devin White? They don't pay anybody at that position. Never mind one of the top 5, 6 linebackers. And he wants to be number 1.
Right. He wants the Bucs to rip up his contract to redo it.
Howie would run in the other direction from Devin White. And Devin White's pretty quick. Now, could they talk themselves into we can make him into a good player? Yeah, I could buy that. If they had to pay him $2 million, I could buy that and saying we could, start the reclamation project. Man, I can't say no fast enough to that one.
Yeah, I just thought that it was interesting that people are, again, doing Howie's job for him, coming up with deals for him to trade down. Oh, by the way, I don't think even if they moved up to, I guess if they moved up to 10, if they'd be tipping their hand to do something like that. I think Tampa's going to start with Trask and with Mayfield next year. I don't think they're drafting a quarterback in this year's draft. Just my take on it. Some people, and I'm reading 2 or 3 mocks a day, have Tampa taking a quarterback in the first round. I just don't believe that's going to be the case. I think they're going to give Kyle Trask a chance, and if not, have Baker Mayfield as their safety net. Hey, after the top 2 quarterbacks in this draft, I don't know that there is anybody that I would say, oh, this guy's definitely going to be better than Kyle Trask. I think it's a 2 quarterback draft, so I don't blame them. They're not getting either Stroud or Young, so why not give Trask a chance? But this is not Bucs football. This is Birds 365. So we're going to continue to talk Eagles. We're going to do so with our buddy from down the shore, Mike Gill from the Sports Bash, ESPN 97.3. We'll jump aboard next with us here on Birds 365.